You know how they say that Montreal Canadiens fans can sometimes hype up their prospects? Well, I have no idea what they're talking about, because today we are talking about a Montreal Canadiens prospect and some comments made by people on the radio. We're talking about some ideas that were tossed out there in regards to this player and what other players exist in the Canadian system. We're talking about what players have existed in the Canadiens' past and how good this player may very well be. Today, we are talking about Ivan Demidov, and we need to go over some of the quotes here in regards to him and his relationship to some other Canadiens prospects already in the system. Last time, we had made a video about Demidov and current Canadiens prospects or guys. It was in a video talking about Slavkovsky. He had some comments to make about Demidov, and it was great. Awesome stuff here. The first overall pick from 2022 loves this fifth overall pick from 2024 as much as the rest of the Canadiens fan base seems to as well. But there also were some other comments made by, firstly, Artyom Basu, who went out there and spoke about Demidov in the most recent Slough Wins the Day Basu and Godin Notebook episode on the SDPN YouTube channel. This was posted onto the R Habs on Reddit Twitter account. Very weird sentence to go out there and say, honestly, Habs on Reddit, Twitter, whatever. But this is the quote from Artyom Basu on the show. Lane Hutson talked to me about how his friends months ago would send him clips of Ivan Demidov saying the Habs should get this guy. He's amazing. Then Lane started watching clips of Demidov and watching him more closely and really got into it. So there you go. It's not even just Slavkovsky who has done his due diligence and done the research, looked at the clips and decided for himself, hey, this guy's pretty good. We should get this guy on our team. It is also Lane Hutson. And big shout out, of course, to Lane Hutson and his friends. You know, he's got some good buds out there letting him know, hey, there's a prospect that exists in the draft this year, Ivan Demidov. Honestly, I kind of do question, like, when you are a top NHL prospect and when you are in the NCAA, you've already been drafted, you're keeping up with the team, like, of course, you're familiar with your teammates, right? Not specifically on, like, the BU Terriers, but, like, in the Canadiens organization. Of course, you know who else is there and whom you're friends with and whatever, but I question whether or not NHL prospects that are already drafted are like, yeah, I'm paying attention to the entry draft. I want to see what my team could go out there and do. Like, if you're drafting first overall, of course, Macklin, Celebrini, or San Jose Sharks guy, you want to be like, hey, who's the guy who's going to come over here? He's going to be pretty good, right? But if you're a fan of, like, a team that's drafting 3, 4, 5, all the way to 10, like, are the prospects in those teams really as into the NHL draft as we are? Like, as fans who watch the game and want to see what our teams do? Maybe there are some hockey nuts out there that find themselves watching some Lego Rocks 99Y1 YouTube videos once in a while, but for Lane Hutson, he's got the buds going out there and saying, hey, that Demidov guy's pretty good. And honestly, when I think about the possibility of having Demidov and Lane Hutson on the same power play, that is great. The offensive creativity, what these guys could do individually, and then you think about what they could do paired together. If we have ourselves some sort of a, let's just say a Nate Mack, Mikko Rantanen, Cale Makar sort of connection between Lane Hutson and Ivan Demidov. If we see some sort of a Bouchard and Draisaitl connection between these guys, obviously the styles of games are a little bit different, but with Lane Hutson's dynamism on the point, his back and forth opening up space kind of way, and his subtle manipulation, his maneuverability, how he's able to create space, and Ivan Demidov's creativity when he has the puck as well, we could be seeing ourselves a potential pairing on the power play that sees many, many goals scored by a Caulfield or a Slavkovsky, assisted by both Demidov and Hutson. If everything works well on the Canadiens' power play with these players, I wouldn't be surprised if they ran with some sort of a setup long-term that had Hutson as every second touch in the power play and Ivan Demidov as the main forward that commands space and shooting opportunities. Now, of course, I'm not taking away from the talent profiles of the Slavkovskys and the Suzukis and the Caulfields, but With this in mind, I wanted to go out there and talk about some comments made by Grant McKegg on the Sick podcast with Tony Marinaro. This was from earlier before free agency began, but McKegg goes out there and talks about how Ivan Demidov is perhaps the best pure talent the Montreal Canadiens have drafted since Guy Lafleur. And I wanted to let that sink in a little bit. You know, I'm not taking away anything from Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky, whatever, but Ivan Demidov and his offensive ceiling, the magic that he has in those hands and that stick, how he's able to create opportunities offensively. This guy might very well rival and overtake every single one of these names that have had their names called by the Montreal Canadiens in a while. I mean, let's go throughout the list here, right? David Reinbacher, yeah, Demidov has a higher offensive ceiling and a pure talented skill set than him. Sorry. Yuri Slavkovsky? You know, while Slav has his positives and there are good things about his game, I would very much argue that Demidov has a higher ceiling than him too. Go over to the other guys, Philip Meshar, yeah, okay, Demidov is probably better. Logan Mailloux, Cayden Gouli, yeah, I'd say Demidov. Cole Caulfield, lots of pure talent in him, but I don't think Caulfield has the 4D chess creativity on the ice that a Demidov has to open up space and the puck skills to match that. Then you go even further back, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, oh yeah, hell no. Ryan Poehling, hell no. Sergachev, we will never know. Noah Juleson, Nikita Sherbak, Michael Bakarin, Alex Galchenyuk, yeah, no, I'd say Demidov has a higher ceiling offensively than all of these guys. Louis LeBlanc is an interesting one because I think he is one of the only players that had an unrealistically high hype level for him heading into the draft. And then you go back into the past, I mean, there are some guys in the 90s and the early 2000s, but really, if you go back, Saku Koivu was a first-round pick by the Canadiens. Yeah, okay. Valerie Bure, the brother of Pavel. But you have to go all the way back to when Guy Lafleur was drafted in the first overall spot in 1971. Maybe the Canadiens have had a few guys that had great careers, Hall of Fame careers after that Guy pick, but have any of these guys had that same level of talent and hype heading into the draft? I mean, Steve Shutt was the first-round pick the Habs had after Guy Lafleur, and that guy was, I think, the last Canadiens guy to score 50 goals in a season, so what gives? Of course, for me personally speaking, I was born in the year 2000, and I've been making videos on the Montreal Canadiens pretty much since, when did we start doing the Habs thing full-time? Maybe 2018? 2019, maybe? Something like that. It's been a while, and I think for a small portion of the YouTube channel's history before that, we were slowly trickling out Canadiens-related videos, but it wasn't until later on in my life and in the YouTube channel's life where I was like, okay, let's actually make videos about the Habs. They get a lot of views, and I'm actually really enjoying talking about this team and their prospect pool, so that's kind of the perspective that I had in that time frame. But when you think about the history books, if anybody wants to go out there and correct me in the comments section below, how do you feel about Grant McKegg's comments here? Is Ivan Demidov the rawest, purest, most talented, offensively capable player the Montreal Canadiens have drafted since Guy Lafleur? Or is that just hyperbole? Also, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the connection between Lane Hutson and one Ivan Demidov, how you feel about Lane and having his scouting report on Demidov work itself out in a very positive way. What are your thoughts on what these guys could do together on a power play unit, and how will that translate onto the score sheet? How many points does Lane Hutson get in a season where he is the top power play guy with Ivan Demidov, Yuri Slavkovsky, and Caulfield on his flanks? In fact, you could probably have Slavkovsky in the middle, right? Have Nick Suzuki on the other point, and then Caulfield, Demidov, one-timer options. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this setup. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.